the First Crusade. This was not merely a military campaign. It was a seismic event that reshaped the geopolitical landscape of Europe and the Middle East, fueled by fervent religious devotion, political ambition, and the sheer desperation of a continent in flux. It set in motion a chain of events whose echoes resonate even today. Part 1. The Clarion Call, a world in flux, late 11th century. To understand the First Crusade, we must first understand the world that birthed it. By the late 11th century, Western Europe was experiencing a period of relative growth, but also significant internal strife, marked by constant feudal warfare, poverty, and religious fervor. Simultaneously, the Eastern Roman, Byzantine Empire, the inheritor of the Roman legacy in the East, was facing a severe existential threat from the rapidly expanding Seljuk Turks. The Seljuks had already defeated the Byzantines at the Battle of Manzikert in 1071, seizing much of Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, and had also gained control of Jerusalem from the Fatimid Caliphate. Into this volatile mix stepped Pope Urban II. In March 1095, Byzantine Emperor Alexios I Komnenos sent an appeal to Urban II, requesting military assistance to reclaim lost territories and defend against the Seljuk advance. Urban saw an unprecedented opportunity to aid fellow Christians in the East, a genuine desire to protect Eastern Christians and the Byzantine Empire, to reunite the Christian Church, healing the rift caused by the Great Schism of 1054 between Eastern Orthodoxy and Roman Catholicism. To redirect European violence, channeling the destructive energy of warring feudal lords outwards towards a common enemy. To reassert papal authority, placing the Pope at the head of a grand, unifying Christian enterprise. To reclaim the Holy Land, the ultimate and most powerful incentive to liberate Jerusalem, the birthplace of Christianity, from Muslim control and ensure safe pilgrimage routes. On November 27, 1095, at the Council of Clermont in France, Pope Urban II delivered one of the most influential speeches in history. He painted a vivid, often exaggerated picture of Christians suffering in the East and called upon all Christians to embark on an armed pilgrimage to Jerusalem. His rallying cry, Deus vult, God wills it, ignited an unprecedented response. He promised spiritual rewards, remission of sins for all who undertook the journey and died in the service of Christ, a powerful incentive for a deeply religious age concerned with salvation. Part 2. The People's Crusade, Zeal, Chaos, and Calamity, 1096. The response to Urban's call was far beyond what he or anyone else could have imagined. Before the organized armies of knights could depart, a spontaneous and largely untrained movement emerged, the People's Crusade. Led by charismatic preachers like Peter the Hermit and Walter the Penniless, tens of thousands of peasants, poor knights, women and children driven by religious fervor, economic hardship, and millennial hopes set off for the East in the spring of 1096. This People's Crusade was ill-disciplined and largely unprepared. As they marched through Europe lacking supplies and proper leadership, they often resorted to pillaging. Tragically, their fervent zeal also devolved into violent anti-Semitism, resulting in brutal massacres of Jewish communities in the Rhineland, a dark stain on the Crusades' origins. When they finally reached Byzantine territory and crossed into Asia Minor, their undisciplined forces were quickly annihilated by the Seljuk Turks near Nicaea in October 1096. It was a harsh and premature end for many, highlighting the immense dangers of such an undertaking without proper organization and military might. Part 3. The Prince's Crusade, Military Might and Relentless March, 1096-1099. While the People's Crusade met its tragic end, the true military force, the Prince's Crusade, began to assemble. This was comprised of professional armies led by some of Europe's most powerful noblemen: Godfrey of Bouillon, Duke of Lower Lorraine; Raymond IV of Toulouse, Count of Toulouse and Provence; Bohemond of Taranto, and his nephew Tancred, Italo-Norman leaders, Robert Curthose, Duke of Normandy, son of William the Conqueror, Stephen of Blois, Count of Blois, Baldwin of Boulogne, Godfrey's brother. These feudal hosts, numbering perhaps 60,000 to 100,000, including non-combatants, traveled in separate contingents, enduring immense hardships and logistical challenges. They eventually converged on Constantinople, where Byzantine Emperor Alexios III skillfully extracted oaths of fealty from the Crusader leaders, hoping to reclaim his lost territories. The major military campaigns of the Prince's Crusade included Siege of Nicaea, June 1097. The Seljuk capital in Anatolia was the first major target. The Crusaders, with Byzantine support, captured the city, a morale-boosting victory. Battle of Dorylaeum, July 1097, a crucial pitched battle where the Crusaders decisively defeated a large Seljuk army, opening the path through Anatolia. Siege of Antioch, October 1097, June 1098. A brutal, agonizing 8-month siege that pushed the Crusaders to the brink of starvation and despair. Just as they were about to give up, a miraculous discovery of what was believed to be the Holy Lance, the spear that pierced Christ's side, revitalized their morale, and they eventually captured the city. They then immediately faced and repelled a large Muslim relief army. March on Jerusalem, 1099. After months of internal disputes and further hardships, the Crusaders finally reached the holy city of Jerusalem in June 1099, their ultimate goal. Part 4. The Fall of Jerusalem and its Aftermath, July 1099. The siege of Jerusalem was relatively short, but intensely bloody. After weeks of desperate fighting, the Crusaders breached the city walls on July 15, 1099. What followed was a horrific massacre of much of the city's Muslim and Jewish inhabitants, a stain on the Crusades' legacy that continues to impact Christian-Muslim relations to this day. The Crusaders believed their actions were divinely justified, a cleansing of the holy city. With Jerusalem captured, the First Crusade concluded with astounding and unexpected success. Most of the surviving Crusaders, having fulfilled their vow, returned home. Those who remained established 4 Crusader states in the Levant: the Kingdom of Jerusalem, the most important; the Principality of Antioch; the County of Edessa, the first to fall back to Muslim control; the County of Tripoli. These states, isolated Christian outposts in a largely Muslim world, would persist for nearly 2 centuries, fundamentally altering the political landscape of the Middle East. Part 5. Enduring Impact and Lessons from History. The First Crusade was a watershed moment, creating a lasting legacy. Profound religious impact. It solidified the concept of holy war in Western Christendom and fostered a powerful sense of collective Christian identity. It became a pilgrimage and a military undertaking, promising spiritual salvation. Geopolitical shift. It established a Latin Christian presence in the Middle East, leading to centuries of intermittent conflict between East and West. Cultural exchange and conflict. While marked by immense violence, the Crusades also led to increased trade, cultural exchange, and the transfer of knowledge, especially from the more advanced Islamic world, back to Europe, contributing to the eventual Renaissance. Deepening Christian-Muslim divide. The massacres and perceived invasion created a lasting legacy of bitterness and mistrust in the Muslim world, shaping perceptions of Western intervention for centuries. The First Crusade offers invaluable life lessons. The power of ideology. It demonstrates the immense power of a unifying ideology, especially religious fervor, to mobilize vast numbers of people for extraordinary feats, for both good and ill. The complexities of motivation. Not all who participated were solely driven by piety. Land, wealth, adventure, and the desire for social advancement also played significant roles. The unintended consequences of action. What began as an appeal for aid rapidly escalated into a full-scale conquest, with far-reaching and often devastating consequences unforeseen by its initiators. The enduring scar of violence. The brutality inflicted, particularly the massacre in Jerusalem, created historical wounds that continue to resonate, reminding us of the long-term impact of violence fueled by religious or political fervor. The First Crusade stands as a powerful testament to the fervor, complexity, and often tragic contradictions of the medieval world, a pivotal event whose repercussions echo across the centuries, urging us to reflect on faith, power, and the profound responsibilities of our actions.